Can wild animals sense a human's intentions? There is a moment, documented dozens of times on camera, where a wild animal, injured and afraid, stops struggling. It looks at the human holding it, and it goes still. Not from exhaustion, not from defeat. Something else is happening in that moment, and scientists are only beginning to understand what it is. To understand what makes these moments remarkable, you first have to understand what wild animals are wired to feel when they see a human. Fear, not learned fear, instinctive fear. Research published in the journal Proceedings of the Royal Society B found that wild animals treat humans as apex predators, more dangerous in their threat assessment than wolves or lions. We move differently. We smell different. And, for most of evolutionary history, an encounter with a human ended badly. A deer's heart rate spikes at the sound of a human voice the same way it does at a growling predator. A crow will remember a threatening human face and warn its offspring about that specific person for years. This is the baseline. This is what a rescuer is working against. So, what changes? In 2010, a bottlenose dolphin approached a group of divers off the coast of Hawaii. It was tangled in fishing line that had wrapped around its pectoral fin so tightly it was cutting into the skin. The dolphin didn't flee. It slowed down. It presented the tangled fin toward the diver. It waited. The diver, Keller Laros, spent several minutes carefully cutting the line free. When the last piece was removed, the dolphin lingered for a moment, then swam away. Biologists who reviewed the footage noted something specific. The dolphin had sought out the divers, not simply tolerated them. It made repeated passes before approaching. That suggests a degree of intentional decision-making, assessing whether these particular humans were safe. This isn't an isolated case. Ravens have approached wildlife workers to have porcupine quills removed from their faces. Whales have guided boats away from entanglement sites, then returned once help arrived. Foxes have walked up to humans with jars stuck on their heads. In each case, the animal had to override its deepest instinct. What's actually happening neurologically is still debated, but there are strong theories. The first involves stress signaling. When an animal is in extreme distress, the physiological cost of maintaining a fear response becomes unsustainable. In that state, some animals appear to enter a kind of cognitive override, where the need for help outweighs the threat assessment. The second involves reading body language. Studies on dogs, our closest animal companions, show they are acutely sensitive to human gaze, posture, and movement speed. Wild animals, particularly intelligent ones like corvids, cetaceans, and great apes, share some of this capacity. Slow movements, low posture, averted eyes. These are signals that even wild animals appear to process as non-threatening. The third, and most debated, involves something closer to trust. Researchers at the University of Vienna found that some species appear capable of attributing intentions to others, not just reacting to their behavior. Whether this extends across the species boundary to humans remains an open question. But the footage keeps accumulating, and it keeps showing the same thing. It's worth noting what wildlife rehabilitators will tell you, because it complicates the picture. Many injured animals do not go still. They fight, they bite, they panic until they're exhausted. An animal calming during a rescue doesn't always mean recognition of intent. It can mean shock. It can mean submission. It can mean the animal has simply run out of energy to resist. The honest answer is that we can't always tell the difference from the outside. What we can say is this: in a meaningful number of cases, the animal's behavior cannot be explained by exhaustion or submission alone. Something more considered appears to be happening. We have spent centuries assuming that the gap between human consciousness and animal consciousness is absolute, that we think, and they only react. But the dolphin that presented its fin, the raven that sat still while quills were pulled from its face, the deer that stopped struggling and simply looked up. These moments suggest the gap may be narrower than we thought. Not that animals understand us fully, but that in extreme moments across the barrier of species and instinct and evolutionary fear, something gets through.